Hi guys, this is John Judd. Today's going to be 11 shortcuts for Edison. It saved me on countless occasions. I'm grouping some of these things together, so you might get several within each number, as it were. Number one, let's say you happen to have a sample properties box, and that looks like this. If you hit Control E, it'll bring up Edison, and then you can start to edit from there. I already have one up, so I'm not doing that. Let's say you have a blank Edison, and you need to open up a file. You hit Control O, and that will bring up a box where you can search for the sample or audio that you want to edit. Number two, we're talking about zoom functions. So on your keyboard, to the right of the main set of keys, there's a little area that says home, end, page up, page down, and then you have the arrows below that. If you happen to have a selection and you want to zoom in on that, end. And then home brings it all the way back out. So end brings it super close, super zoomed in. And then home brings it back to the main zoom level. Is that super zoomed in? No, it's not super zoomed in, but it does get you where you need to go. It looks like it's just filling the screen. So if you had a smaller selection, it just fills the screen with that particular selection. Totally valuable if you're editing samples and stuff like that, and you need to move and work quickly. Page up and page down, that's page up, it's zooming in, and page down is bringing the zoom level back out. Now here's a cool one that is kind of new to me. If you hit Control and the left arrow, it does a hyper zoom on the leftmost portion of that sample or audio. And if you do Control right arrow, all the way to the right, and that is zoomed in about as far as it's going to go. If we want to get out of there, you're going to hit home and it brings it back. Now, the one part that's kind of risky business, your fingers are really close to the delete key. Whatever you do, don't touch that unless you intentionally want to destroy something. I've actually used that and accidentally destroyed stuff. So stay away from that delete key. All the other stuff, good to go. Number three, for example, we have a piece of audio. Let's say you wanted that beginning, not that I would want this to be faded in, but let's say you wanted it to be faded in. You're going to hit Control F, and that gives you a fade. Yeah, pretty neat. We don't actually need a fade on there. To the end of the song. Let's say that I wanted that to be faded out sooner. Alt F. Number four, Control Z. If you're ever in the middle of this and you happen to do something that you just really regretted, Control Z. So let's say I didn't like that particular fade that I did, Control Z brings it back. Number five, this is really helpful if you have a bunch of sample hits that you're trying to edit. I used this a lot when I was working on a project where I needed to have a whole bunch of samples cut, but they were in the same recording. Let's say we had the selection that we like here. Let's say you wanted all the other audio excluded. You're going to hit Control Delete, and then all the other audio is excluded from what you just did. You would have to go and select this portion and cut it out, and then select this portion, cut it out. Silliness. Go here and hit Control Delete. Beautiful, and you get exactly what you need. Some dude on the forum showed me that. Whoever it was, thank you. That's been invaluable. Number six, snap to grid. This little guy right here, this little horseshoe looking thing, it is actually snapping. Like if you had a control knob and it was detented, if the control knob was detented, this is what this feels like. It's snapping to the grid. Whereas if you did not have that snap, it glides along smoothly. By the way, if you want to control what the snap is snapping to, you go down to the little horseshoe thingy, right click, and that gives you some options. Snap to grid, snap to region, snap to samples, and so on. Number seven, see this little time display here? If you hit right click, you can decide what you want this time display to be showing. A selection of samples, the normal time, bar, beat, tick, and auto, whatever that happens to be. I usually have minutes and seconds. And in the new update, which I haven't updated my main rig yet, this selection, it'll now be shown the length of this time selection, which I can't wait for that. Number 8 is actually 2 things in one. F2. Those are your sample properties. It'll do some changes for you if you needed to. Like that right now is our Hertz 44.1, and you could change it to whatever else you happen to need, stereo or mono, 16-bit. You totally change those things and then hit accept. Also, one more time, you can change the title. Right now, I have something in the comments section, but you could delete that. But you could change the title, write some comments, whatever you needed to do. The other way to pull that up, right over this title bar, right click, and it'll bring that up. Number 9, let's say we had a click or pop or some portion of the audio that was bothering you. Control U. That brings up the denoiser declicker. Probably know how to use that. We have a denoiser section of it as well. Declicker. That thing has saved me 1,000 times. It's great. Number 10. Let's imagine for a moment that you had a little section that you wanted to be louder or softer. Alt A. That brings up the amp tool. You can control the main volume, panning, left and right volumes. It's beautiful. So for example, we could bring it down a notch and then hit accept, and then it'd be softer. Number 11, M. If I'm going to throw down a marker, it's usually going to be with a snap on, but occasionally maybe you have a click or pop or you need to go back and fix something or your attention needs to be drawn. So it might be off grid, but let's say it's on grid. You have to make a little selection. M. So that was a selection. If you did not have anything selected and you just hit M, your marker will go to the beginning. So that's all I have for you. Hope that helped.